Introducing the Numark NS4FX. This is now the cheapest 4-channel controller on the market. Are you ready to find out more? Welcome, I'm Jamie Hartley from Crossfader, and in today's review we're looking at the Numark NS4FX. This is the latest offering from Numark. It's a 4-channel controller that works with Serato DJ Lite, Serato DJ Pro, Virtual DJ, Algoriddim DJ, so you've got a bunch of options here. In today's review we're looking at the Serato DJ line of software from Lite to Pro and what features this controller offers. It's classed as a professional 4-channel controller, but with a price bracket of £414.99 or $499 respectively. This really comes in at that entry-level gap in the market. It's cheaper than its competitor out there by about $100. So we're going to find out if this might be the right product for you to either get started on or upgrade to. How it's going to be structured is we're going to deep dive into what all the features are so you know what is exactly on this controller and what you get with it. And then at the end, I'll give some of my thoughts around who should buy it and what I personally think of this controller. So without further ado, please make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe to this video. It helps us make more reviews like this, and let's get stuck in. Out of the box, this controller comes with the Serato DJ Lite software. This software has access to all 4 channels, which is one of the main standout features on this controller. You'll notice there are only 2 decks on the controller, even though there are 4 channels. And that's because we have a layer control here, and we can switch from deck 1, which is this channel, to deck 3, which is this channel. On the right hand side, we've got deck 2 to deck 4. So you can independently control deck 3, for example. When I switch it there, I can load a song in, I can use a tempo adjust, I can use all the performance features, and then have control over the EQs and the filters and the levels, all of that individual layer. You will notice with Serato DJ Lite, this is the free version that comes with this controller, that we only see 2 of the waveforms on the screen. So if you want to be able to see all 4 at once, you will need to pay to upgrade to Serato DJ Pro. And along with that comes with extra effects, the ability to record your sets, and even more advanced performance pad modes down here, which we're going to look at. Like with nearly any DJ software now, Serato DJ Lite gives you the ability to access some of the main DJ streaming services such as Beatport, BeatSource, Tidal and SoundCloud Go, which give you access to millions of songs. It's kind of like a Spotify for DJs, these services. Please note though, Spotify and Apple Music is not supported in any DJ software, just like it's not supported in Serato DJ Lite. So you will have to look at one of these other services if you want to continue using streaming songs. Now let's take a quick tour of the controller itself. On the deck side of the controller, we have the typical cue and play buttons for DJs. We have the sync controls to be able to sync up to all 4 channels and get the BPMs locked and matched together. We also have a full-size tempo adjust, so we can speed it up and slow it down. And this is really nice to see a full-size one on here because it gives us really nice control over our beat matching and making sure we get our BPMs correct. The jog wheels are touch capacitive, so we can touch the top and use it in scratch mode for scratching or scrubbing through the track. We can turn the scratch mode off here, which allows us to nudge the song faster or slower using the jog wheel. You'll see in the center display, it's really nice to have a big, bold BPM readout, which allows us to match the BPMs of both tracks. We can see the time elapsed, the deck number we're on, depending on the layer, whether we have key lock on, and also the pitch of the track. We can change the tempo range by using a shift function here and pressing the pitch bend minus, and that can go from 16% faster and slower to 50% faster and slower. So we can do wide transitions if we choose to, back to 8%. We also have key lock that we can turn on and off to lock the key of the song. And without holding shift, we can pitch bend, which is the same action as nudging the track faster and slower temporarily using the jog wheel. Moving down, we have the performance pads on the decks. So very common performance pads. We've got the cue mode, which allows us to set cues and jump to any point in the song. We can set up to 4 of these in Serato DJ Lite. In Serato DJ Pro, you'll have access to 8. However, in Serato DJ Lite, we have this stutter button, which is a transport control. It jumps back to the start. Even if the track stopped, you can launch it from the start by pressing it once. We can then skip back towards the start of the track if you want to reset your cue point using this button, or we can fast forward or rewind through the track with these. These pads, however, will change if you upgrade to Serato DJ Pro, depending on the pad mode you're on. Moving over to auto loop, you can set a 1-beat loop, a 2-beat loop, a 4-beat loop, or an 8-beat loop. Again, you'll have access to more loop lengths in Serato DJ Pro. You also have dedicated looping controls here, so if you're in hot cue mode, you can also set loops with these dedicated buttons, and then half and 2 times that loop from 1 to 8. Using shift, we can do the in and out adjust, which we press the half button for the in adjust, and we can move the in point, move the out point, and undo the loop. Moving across, we have fader cuts, which I'm going to show you on this side with a scratch sample. Fader cuts tries to mimic what you would do with a crossfader to create these cuts with a scratch sound. So leaving the crossfader in the center, you can make sure that you've got your crossfader assigned switches on the front of the controller switched to A and B, otherwise this feature won't work. Depending on the channels you want to apply it to, I've got channel 1 assigned to the A side, which is the left hand side. And then all I do is I hold one of the pads, and this is when I'm doing it without. When I activate the pad, it's got different patterns. It's a cool little feature. It's not something you're going to use religiously, and it's not necessarily a selling point of this controller, but it can introduce you to what scratching sounds like, so you can try and copy that and create those cuts and those silences with the crossfader as well. It's a cool feature to have a play around with, but not a selling point, like I say. Then moving over, we have the sampler, where we can load our own samples in or use the ones that come with Serato DJ Lite. These can just be launched by pressing each pad, and they're the common sounds that you'll find a lot of DJs use to fill those gaps in between transitions. And I want to bring your attention to these red icons underneath the performance pads. Now all of these are reserved for Serato DJ Pro. However, there is one that you can still access in Serato DJ Lite. If we hold shift and press scratch banks, which is the one under sampler, we can then access the scratch bank mode. To view this in Serato DJ Lite, press this button, and we get 4 different slots that we can load songs into here. The scratch bank is a quick way to load any sample or song into that playing deck. So I could have this track playing, but I could press this pad and it will jump to the hot cue loaded into that scratch bank, or this one. There we go, straight into the drop of another track. And there, and jumps to another track. Now, in Serato DJ Lite, it's just a basic feature that loads from whatever hot cue you've got set, the number 1 hot cue. In Serato DJ Pro, you have access to more performance pads as well as a range of other features advertised by Serato. So in the performance pads underneath Q, if we hold shift and press Q, we can go into pitch play mode, which allows us to pitch the track up and down using any of the hot cues. So we can pitch it or down. This is useful for techniques like tone play transitions. We also have the roll mode underneath hot cue and underneath auto loop, which allows us to roll the track by a chosen amount. So we can change the amount, or we can beat jump left and right by another dedicated amount here. And this allows you to skip through the track quickly. If you want to change the amount, you can use the toggle buttons on the screen for the roll. And then underneath the fader cuts, we have slicer mode, which maps out 8 different beats to the 8 pads, and then we can roll different beats in those 8 different pads. Let's skip to another section of the track. And by holding them down, you can roll those sections. You also have access to loads of other features like the record function, as well as more effects, as well as more settings within the scratch bank. If I just open it here, and you can see we have more that we can play around with there. Please remember though, this is a paid upgrade to access the Serato DJ Pro software. Moving over to the mixer section, as mentioned, we have access to all 4 channels here with independent controls. This is great if you want to mix up to 4 channels. Again, it depends who's buying this controller. I'd say if you've never DJ'd before, you want to just stick to 2 and really get used to mixing with 2 first before trying to introduce 3 and 4. But it has that ability to grow with you as a DJ if you want to start mixing more than 2 decks and feel the need to. In the center, we have the effects controls. I really like the paddle style effects on these controllers. There are a few pros and a few cons to it. The pros are they're quick and easy to activate, turn on and use when you're just starting out. The cons are you can't add more than one effect without using your mouse. So if you just want to use one effect, that's great. If you want to combine, it doesn't really work. In Serato DJ Lite, if you toggle this switch on here, you can see the effects and we can see them in action. If we've got a track loaded, we can toggle the echo on. It changes to echo on the first selector, and then we can just activate it on with this hold, or we can latch the effect by pulling it down. Then when we release, it will turn back off again. So these work post fader, such as the echo or the reverb, and then we have some such as the phaser, high pass filter, low pass filter, and flanger. For these to work, make sure your dry and wet knob is turned up here. You can change the level of it using this knob. And we can change the beat fraction here, so that's how often the effect is applied. And you can see all that replicate on the screen as well. The headphone controls are located in the center. We have the Q mix and the Q gain, which is how loud the headphones are for each channel. And also whether you want to mix the master into the headphones so you can hear what's playing out loud in the headphones as well as your channel cues. We have the dedicated load and browse selector. We can load to the left and the right, and also instant double from here as well. And then on the top right hand corner, we've got the booth level and the main master output level. And then to the left hand side, the top of the left deck, we have the control of mic 1, which is located on the back with a level and tone control. We can switch that to line, which is the aux input, which is an RCA input on the back of the controller as well. If you wanted to play any other sound source, say from a mobile or a laptop, just to bypass the decks and just play it out the speakers, you can do that there too. It's like an extra channel. There is also a mic 2 down on the front of the controller, again with a level and a tone control. Both of these mics route through the USB audio, which is important if you want to use your DJ equipment in a live stream and also use a microphone in your live streams. Some of the entry-level controllers do not do this. It doesn't send the microphone audio through the USB, it just comes out the main speakers. So that can be an issue if you want to use a microphone in a live stream. However, this controller allows you to do that. As you can see along the back of the unit, it is a powered unit. You will need to plug your power supply in to actually provide power to this unit. And that's because it has these professional outputs. These are balanced XLR outputs, which means you can plug in high-end speakers to this unit and get much higher end quality audio than just using RCAs. You'll notice there are RCA outputs which are unbalanced for the booth monitor. This is a bit of a strange one because a lot of booth monitors won't necessarily have an RCA connection. It might have a jack connection, so you might have to find the right cables to work if you're going to use it in that situation. It is a pro and a con. Like, it's nice to have the professional outputs, especially it gives you the option to go and play on much bigger speakers and to, bigger audiences. However, you do have to have that power supply for this controller to work. It doesn't just work with USB power. So first of all, my thoughts. Well, this is classed as a 4-channel professional controller, but there's a bit of a crux here because it ships with what I would class as beginner or entry-level software, such as Serato DJ Lite, and you have to pay to access the more professional creative features, but it does also ship with professional outputs. So it depends what you want to class as professional and what's more important to you. Are you straight away going to be gigging with this, taking it out and plugging in big powered sound systems to it, or do you want to get more creative in your bedroom? This depends then. If you know that you want to get more creative before you're even going out to gigs, then you're going to have to pay for that upgrade to Serato DJ Pro, or look at other software such as Virtual DJ or Algoriddim DJ. I will say though, however, as a professional DJ of over 10 years of club experience, you don't need to have 4 channels to be able to be a good DJ. It doesn't work like that. It's whether you see other DJs doing certain things with 4 decks and you feel like that's something you want to apply to your sets, then yes, this is a very big selling point for you. But don't think that by getting this controller and having 4 channels, you're instantly going to become a better DJ, because it's actually really tricky to mix on 4 channels when you've only got 2 decks. You'll see a lot of DJs who mix on 4 channels, they have 4 decks as well, and you don't have to switch between the layers. So it's something to bear in mind. Don't be clouded by thinking, okay, I need to buy this controller and spend that extra money because I need those extra two channels right away. You can do more than enough just with 2 channels if you want to save a bit of money and go for the real entry-level controller. Now that's for any beginner DJs and people who have never DJed before. How about if you've already got a 2-channel controller, such as a 2-channel Numark Platinum FX or Pro FX or one of the Pioneer models? Is this an upgrade? Well, it is an upgrade if, like I said, you want to start mixing more than 2 channels. I don't think it's much of an upgrade if you really want to upgrade the feel of the controller and how it performs. This is where you want to go much higher, and you're looking at around $1,000 or even more maybe, where you get your full-size jog wheels and you get much more tactile feel with the performance pads and things like that. So that's where it is an upgrade, but it's an incremental upgrade because it's just for those extra channels if you are upgrading from a 2-channel controller. So what about if we compare this to its competitor, the DJAY FLX6? Well, it comes in about $100 cheaper with better, more professional output, so you're going to get better sound and be able to use it in bigger environments on larger sound systems. So that's a pro. The flip side is the DJAY FLX6 works with Serato DJ, and it also works with Rekordbox, so you have the option of 2 softwares there. This will not work with Rekordbox. It has the full-size jog wheels, which do feel different to these, but you don't have that really nice center display that has all the information in like these have, which is really useful. So it's just a way up of whether you feel like you want to use Rekordbox or you want to use Serato. If you were just to use Serato, then this is better because it's labeled for Serato. It's all mapped out in the way it should be, whereas the FLX6 is all labeled for Rekordbox. It's also just powered by USB, whereas this is powered by a power source. So it depends whether you simply just want to have a small setup at home in your bedroom with minimal wires, then the FLX6 works well for that. Or if you're happy to have the power source in, then obviously make room for that. Plug it in and just know that you're going to need that external power supply. If you do take it out to gigs, it's not as quick and easy to just set up and plug in if you're playing to a group of friends. Another huge difference to bear in mind is the FLX6 doesn't send its microphone audio through the USB like I mentioned this one does. So if you do want to live stream and use a microphone, this is an easier way to do it. The FLX6, you would need an external sound card with the microphone plugged in to be able to get that audio source as well. So just again, something else to keep in mind. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below, so please let us know if you're thinking about purchasing this controller or upgrading to it and what you think about it. Also, if you're thinking about buying this controller, make sure to check out our Serato DJ courses, beginner and intermediate, as well as our advanced DJ Hub section, all on our website. The link's in the description and in the card. You can learn how to use this controller and get creative with all of its features, as well as progress as a DJ throughout your entire journey. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in another review very soon.